humanity's fury unleashed. When humans get angry, the universe trembles. The Crone raiding fleet charged their weapons and pointed them toward Earth, little knowing their presence had been detected long before their arrival. Below, on the planet's surface, humanity prepared for the fight of their lives. John Reyes's lungs seized as he jerked awake inside his cryopod, gasping for air. Terror gripped him, squeezing his chest. His eyes snapped open, and he saw frost covering the pod's glass. Ray slammed the release button. The pod hissed open, and he tumbled out onto the metal floor of the Aurora's cryochamber. His bones ached, his muscles cramped, and his head spun. Around him, hundreds of other cryopods were opening, and groggy colonists staggered out, coughing and retching. They had been in cryosleep for the journey to Alpha Centauri, to establish a new home for humanity. Reyes struggled to his feet, his mind racing. The alarms blaring in the background confirmed his worst fears. The Crone had found them. "Have you lost your damned alien mind?" The Sci-Fi High Council chamber erupted into chaos at Umbra's words. Humans. Those depraved, hairless apes are more likely to murder us all than help. But Umbra held firm, the survival of his entire race hanging in the balance. The Volkai scourge had slaughtered their way across the galaxy, entire civilizations crumbling before their brutal onslaught. Now they were at the doorstep of the Sci-Fi home world. Trillions would die. "We have no choice," Umbra said grimly. "I have studied the humans extensively, analyzed the records of their wars, their history. They are vicious, savage, unpredictable. But that is exactly what we need. The Volkai are monsters. To beat them, we need our own monsters." "This is insanity," another counselor spat, but no one could offer an alternative. Umbra was right. They needed a weapon, and there was no deadlier weapon in the universe than humanity unchained. "Send the emissaries to Earth," Umbra commanded. "Find me the most lethal human soldiers. Hire them. Bring them here. If we do not act now, we are already dead." Deep in the underbelly of the Earth city called New Haven, a scarred, battle-hardened man named Joseph Gray was exactly the kind of lethal weapon the Sci-Fi needed. Gray had seen the worst of what the universe had to offer. He'd spent a decade as an elite special forces operator, honing his skills in the flames of war until he finally burned out. Jaded and disillusioned, he'd mustered out and drifted, selling his deadly talents to the highest bidder. But there was still an ember of honor buried deep within Gray's soul, a yearning for more than his empty existence as a hired gun. When an alien in strange robes approached him in a seedy bar and offered him the job of a lifetime, that ember flared to life. The Sci-Fi needed the best human warriors. Gray would give them the best. His old teammates, the cast-offs and mavericks, men like him, broken by the world but forged into weapons of war. If it took monsters to kill monsters, then Gray would build the most fearsome pack of human monsters the galaxy had ever seen. The Sci-Fi looked upon the humans with revulsion and mistrust. Gray understood. He'd seen the darkness lurking in the human heart, but he also knew the heights they could rise to. It was his job to make these aliens see it too, to mold his wolves into a cohesive unit, to earn the respect of the Sci-Fi, even as the specter of galactic annihilation loomed. Failure was not an option. Trillions of lives across hundreds of worlds were depending on Gray and his band of human warriors. They were the shield against the inrushing storm, the Sci-Fi's last desperate hope. Gray knew the odds. He knew the risks. One false step, and they'd all burn. But if there was one thing humans were good at, it was spitting in the face of the odds. It was time to show the galaxy what a few exceptional humans could do. Time to bring the monsters to heel. Gray and his team stepped out of the dropship onto the blasted hellscape that had once been the thriving Cathy colony Arik Prime. The metropolis lay in smoldering ruins, its towering spires reduced to rubble, its streets choked with the bodies of the fallen. The air reeked of smoke, blood, and death. "Jesus," muttered Lazarus, taking in the devastation with a grim set to his scarred features. "Looks like we're in for one hell of a fight, boys." Gray merely nodded, his icy blue gaze already scanning the horizon for threats. A staffade officer, his chitinous armor battered and scorched, hurried up to the humans. "Commander Gray, thank the gods you've come," the alien said, his voice flanging with exhaustion and desperation. "The Vokai are pressing on all fronts. Our lines are about to collapse. We need your team at the forward defenses immediately." "Lead the way," Gray replied tersely, checking the charge on his pulse rifle. As they double-timed it through the ruined streets, the sounds of battle grew louder, the staccato bark of weapons fire, the bone-shaking thrum of explosions, the screams of the dying. Rounding a corner, they came face to face with the savage reality of the Vokai war machine. A phalanx of towering exosuits, easily 3 times the height of a man, tore through the Sci-Fi infantry like paper. The biomechanical monstrosities were a nightmarish fusion of organic and inorganic components, their arm carapaces jam-packed with spikes and blades, their multiple limbs tipped with vicious claws and pulsing energy weapons. They moved with terrifying speed and agility, shrugging off the desperate fire of the Sci-Fi defenders as they ripped and tore and blasted their way through the ranks. Behind the shock troops, Vokai Reaper walkers strode through the ruins like malevolent gods, the heavily armed assault platforms each the size of a small building, laying waste to entire city blocks with devastating plasma cannon and missile barrages. Their impenetrable energy shields shimmered as they soaked up the futile counterfire of the Sci-Fi armor. "Madre de Dios," whispered Dice, crossing himself at the sight of the alien killing machines. Gray's face hardened into a mask of cold determination. He'd seen this kind of brutality before, in the meat grinder of the COT campaign, where the enemy had employed similar shock and awe tactics. He knew that to beat an enemy like this, you had to adapt, get unconventional, hit them where they least expected it. "Okay, listen up," he barked, gathering his team around him. "We split into 2 units. Lazarus, you're with me. We'll take Dice and Scarecrow, form a mobile strike team, hit their flanks and supply lines, keep them off balance. Ironhead, Prophet, you anchor the defense here, buy the Sci-Fi some breathing room. We'll stay in constant contact via short-burst transmission." The mercs nodded grimly, checking their weapons one final time. They all knew the stakes, knew that failure here would mean the end of the Sci-Fi and billions of innocents across the galaxy. "Give 'em hell, boys," Gray said, slamming a fresh power cell into his rifle. "Let's show these alien freaks what happens when you piss off the human race." With that, the teams split, racing to their respective positions. Gray led his strike force in a flanking maneuver, ghosting through the rubble-choked side streets as the sounds of battle raged around them. "Dice, you're up," Gray whispered into his cum as they approached a column of Reaper walkers that were pounding the Sci-Fi front. "Make it rain." The wiry demo expert grinned savagely, unslinging a bulky pack from his shoulders. He hastily assembled a jury-rigged launcher, loaded it with a vicious-looking warhead. "Fire in the hole," he muttered, depressing the trigger. The makeshift bunker buster streaked into the lead Reaper, penetrating its shields to detonate directly against its armored hull in a blinding flash. The walker stuttered, belching smoke and flames before toppling to the ground with a catastrophic boom. "Hell yeah," Dice exulted. "Eat that, you oversized cockroaches." Gray allowed himself a tight smile as the strike team moved to their next target, a Vokai communications relay. Maybe, just maybe, if they kept the pressure on, kept the enemy reacting instead of attacking, they could buy the time the Sci-Fi so desperately needed. At the front, Ironhead and Prophet fought like men possessed, rallying the battered Sci-Fi defenders in the face of the relentless Vokai onslaught. Ironhead waded into the thick of the fighting, a mobile fortress in his power armor, his monstrous chain axe screaming as it tore through the biomechanical horrors. He was a one-man army, shrugging off blows that would have pulped an ordinary human, bellowing war cries over the din of combat. The Sci-Fi soldiers stared in awe, their flagging morale soaring at the sight of the humans' indomitable strength and ferocity. The tides of war. Ironhead roared, bisecting a Volkai shock trooper with his monstrous chain axe. "Come on, you scaly dogs." The Sci-Fi soldiers stared in awe, their flagging morale soaring at the sight of the humans' indomitable strength and ferocity. Prophet, a tall, wiry man with piercing green eyes, stood at Ironhead's side, providing cover fire with his sniper rifle. His shots were precise, each one finding a critical weak spot in the Volkai exosuits, bringing them down with deadly efficiency. "Focus fire on their joints," Prophet shouted to the Sci-Fi. "Aim for the gaps in their armor." The Sci-Fi followed his instructions, their combined firepower gradually slowing the Volkai advance. Despite the overwhelming odds, the defenders held their ground, inspired by the humans' courage and tenacity. The Volkai, unused to such fierce resistance, began to falter, their lines wavering under the relentless assault. Gray's strike team continued their guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and disappearing into the ruins before the Volkai could mount a counterattack. Each hit-and-run raid chipped away at the invaders' cohesion, sowing confusion and chaos in their ranks. Dice's explosives wreaked havoc on supply depots and command centers, while Scarecrow's hacking skills disrupted enemy communications and turned their automated defenses against them. The tide of battle began to shift. The Sci-Fi, emboldened by the humans' example, launched a series of counteroffensives, reclaiming lost ground inch by bloody inch. Gray coordinated with the Sci-Fi command, directing their forces with the precision of a master tactician. He knew they couldn't win by brute force alone. They had to outthink and outmaneuver the Volkai at every turn. In the midst of the chaos, Gray received a transmission from the Sci-Fi High Command. "Commander Gray, we've detected a massive Volkai warship entering orbit. It's deploying reinforcements and preparing to bombard our positions from above." Gray swore under his breath. "Understood. We'll handle it." He turned to his team, his expression grim. "We need to take out that warship, or everything we've done here will be for nothing." Lazarus, a hulking brute of a man with a perpetual scowl, grunted in agreement. "Got any bright ideas, boss?" Gray's mind raced. "There's a decommissioned orbital defense platform nearby. If we can get it operational, we might be able to take down the warship before it can unleash its payload." "Sounds like a plan," Scarecrow said, already tapping away at his datapad. "I'll get the platform systems online. Just get me there in one piece." The strike team set off at a breakneck pace, navigating the war-torn landscape with practiced ease. As they neared the defense platform, they encountered a Volkai patrol. The aliens, alerted by the humans' movements, opened fire, their plasma bolts scorching the air. "Take cover," Gray shouted, diving behind a collapsed wall. He returned fire, his shots precise and deadly. Lazarus charged forward, his heavy armor absorbing the brunt of the enemy's fire. He slammed into the Volkai ranks like a human wrecking ball, his massive fists pulverizing anything in his path. Dice lobbed a grenade into the midst of the patrol, the explosion sending Volkai soldiers flying in all directions. Scarecrow used the distraction to slip past the remaining enemies and reach the platform's control panel. His fingers flew over the keys, bypassing security protocols and rerouting power to the long-dormant defense systems. "Almost there," Scarecrow muttered, his brow furrowed in concentration. Just a few more seconds. The Volkai, realizing their predicament, redoubled their efforts to stop the humans. One of the exosuits broke through Lazarus's defenses, its claws poised to strike. Before it could land a blow, Prophet's rifle barked, and the alien crumpled to the ground, a smoking hole in its chest. "Got it," Scarecrow exclaimed as the defense platform hummed to life. Targeting the warship now. The platform's cannons swiveled toward the sky, locking onto the Volkai warship. Energy built up in the massive barrels, and with a deafening roar, The cannons fired. Beams of searing light lanced through the atmosphere, striking the warship's shields. The initial volley caused the shields to flicker and strain, but they held firm. "Keep firing," Gray ordered, his voice a mix of determination and desperation. "We have to bring that thing down." The platform's cannons unleashed a relentless barrage, each shot weakening the warship's defenses. The Volkai vessel retaliated, raining plasma bolts down on the human's position. Explosions rocked the ground, and shrapnel filled the air. "Hold the line," Gray shouted, rallying his team. "We're almost there." With a final mighty effort, the platform's cannons broke through the warship's shields. The beams sliced into the hull, causing a series of catastrophic explosions. The warship listed to one side, smoke and flames pouring from its wounds. In a blinding flash, it disintegrated, the debris raining down on the battlefield below. A cheer went up from the Sci-Fi defenders as the warship's destruction signaled a turning point in the battle. The Volkai, deprived of their orbital support, began to retreat, their morale shattered. Gray slumped against a wall, exhaustion washing over him. He allowed himself a moment of relief, knowing they had bought the Sci-Fi precious time. But the war was far from over, and he would need every ounce of strength and cunning to see it through to the end. As the humans regrouped, Gray looked out over the smoldering ruins of Arik Prime. This was just the beginning. The galaxy would learn to fear the fury of humanity, and the Volkai would rue the day they ever crossed paths with the monsters of Earth, the Aftermath, and the Plan. Gray stood amidst the rubble, surveying the aftermath of the fierce battle. The Sefkethi soldiers, once on the brink of despair, now moved with renewed purpose and determination, tending to the wounded and securing the perimeter. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning debris and the metallic tang of blood, but the sight of the destroyed Volkai warship filled the air with a palpable sense of hope. Prophet approached Gray, wiping sweat and grime from his brow. "We did it, Commander. We held the line and took out that warship." Gray nodded, his expression grim. "We did, but this is just the beginning. The Volkai won't take this defeat lightly. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. We need to fortify our position and prepare for the next wave." Scarecrow joined them, his face illuminated by the glow of his datapad. "I've intercepted some Volkai transmissions. They're regrouping and planning a major offensive. We have maybe a day, 2 at most, before they hit us again. Then we need to act fast," Gray said. He turned to Ironhead and Lazarus, who were helping the Sefkethi reinforce their defenses. "Ironhead, Lazarus, gather the troops. We need to bolster our defenses and prepare for another assault." Ironhead grinned, his teeth bared in a feral smile. "Time to show these Volkai what humans are really made of." Lazarus nodded, his stoic demeanor unchanging. "They'll regret coming back here." As the humans and Sefkethi worked tirelessly to fortify their positions, Gray and Prophet retreated to a makeshift command center. A holographic map of Arik Prime flickered before them, displaying the latest intelligence on enemy movements. "We can't just sit here and wait for them to attack," Prophet said, his voice laced with urgency. "We need to take the fight to them, disrupt their plans, and force them to spread their forces thin." Gray studied the map, his mind racing. "Agreed. We need to hit their supply lines, sabotage their communications, and strike at their command centers. If we can keep them off balance, we can buy ourselves more time and weaken their offensive capabilities." Scarecrow, who had been monitoring the map, pointed to a series of locations marked in red. "These are their primary supply depots and communication hubs. If we hit these targets, we can cripple their logistics and coordination." Gray formulated a plan. "We'll split into 2 teams. Prophet, you'll lead one team to take out the supply depots. Scarecrow, you'll handle the communications hubs. Ironhead and Lazarus will stay here and lead the defense. We need to move quickly and hit them hard." The teams assembled, each member ready and determined. Prophet's team set out first, moving swiftly through the ruins toward the nearest supply depot. they encountered minimal resistance, the Volkai still reeling from their recent defeat. With precise coordination and lethal efficiency, they sabotaged the depot, setting charges that would detonate once they were clear. As they moved to the next target, Prophet's keen eyes spotted a Volkai patrol. He signaled his team to take cover, assessing the situation. "We need to take them out quietly. No alarms, no reinforcements." The teams regrouped at the command center, their expressions grim but determined. "The Volkai are throwing everything they have at us," Gray said, his voice steady. "But we're ready. We've disrupted their supply lines and communications. Now we just need to hold the line." The HFY soldiers, inspired by the humans' bravery and resilience, prepared for the impending battle. As the Volkai forces approached, Gray addressed the defenders. "Today, we stand united against a common enemy. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity and the HFY will not be conquered. Fight with everything you have, and we will prevail." The defenders cheered, their resolve unshaken. As the Volkai forces closed in, the humans and HFY stood side by side, ready to face the storm. The battle that would determine the fate of Arik Prime was about to begin. Battle of Arik Prime. The ground trembled as the Volkai forces advanced, their war machines and troops creating a thunderous cacophony. Gray and the others stood at the front lines, their eyes fixed on the horizon where the enemy emerged like a relentless tide. The humans and HFY had fortified their positions, creating makeshift barricades and strategic choke points. The Volkai assault began with a barrage of artillery, explosions ripping through the air as the defenders took cover. Gray's voice rang out over the chaos. "Hold your positions. Return fire." Ironhead and Lazarus led the counterattack, their weapons blazing as they targeted the approaching Volkai. The HFY, inspired by the humans' fearless resolve, fought with renewed vigor, their own weapons adding to the onslaught. The battlefield became a maelstrom of fire and fury, each side striving to gain the upper hand. Scarecrow, stationed at a strategic vantage point, provided critical updates. "They're trying to flank us on the eastern side. We need to reinforce that position." Prophet nodded, rallying a squad of HFY warriors. "I'll handle it. Keep the pressure on them." As Prophet and his squad moved to the eastern flank, they encountered a group of Volkai soldiers attempting to breach their defenses. Prophet's rifle barked with precision, each shot finding its mark. The HFY followed suit, their combined firepower repelling the Volkai assault. "Keep it up. We can't let them through," Prophet shouted, his voice carrying over the din of battle. Meanwhile, Dice and Scarecrow coordinated hit-and-run tactics, striking at vulnerable points in the Volkai lines, and then retreating before the enemy could respond. Their agility and cunning disrupted the Volkai's advance, buying precious time for the defenders. Despite their efforts, the Volkai continued to press forward, their numbers seemingly endless. Gray realized they needed a decisive action to turn the tide. "We need to take out their command structure. Without leadership, they'll falter." Scarecrow's eyes lit up. "I've pinpointed their command center. It's heavily guarded, but if we can infiltrate and take it out, it could cripple their offensive." Gray nodded. "Scarecrow, Prophet, Dice, you're with me. Ironhead and Lazarus, hold the line here. We'll create a diversion and then strike at their heart." The strike team moved out under the cover of darkness, weaving through the chaos of the battlefield. Using Scarecrow's intel, they navigated through enemy lines, avoiding patrols and sentries. As they approached the command center, they could see the Volkai leaders coordinating the assault. Gray signaled his team to take positions. "On my mark, we take them out swiftly and silently." With practiced precision, they launched their assault. Dice and Prophet took out the outer guards, while Gray and Scarecrow moved in to disable the communications equipment. Alarms blared as the Volkai commanders realized they were under attack, but it was too late. The humans struck with lethal efficiency, neutralizing the command center and throwing the Volkai forces into disarray. The defenders, seeing the confusion in the Volkai ranks, seized the opportunity. Ironhead led a fierce counteroffensive, his booming voice rallying the troops. "Push them back. This is our chance." Lazarus, a pillar of strength amidst the chaos, fought with unwavering determination. For Eric Prime, for humanity. The combined force of humans and Sekhethi surged forward, their united front overwhelming the disoriented Vokai. As the enemy retreated, the defenders pressed their advantage, driving the Vokai back across the battlefield. Grey nodded, his gaze sweeping over the battlefield. "We did it together. Humans and Sekhethi, united against a common enemy." Lazarus, standing nearby, raised his weapon in salute. "To those we lost, and to the future we secured." The defenders, human and Sekhethi alike, echoed the sentiment, their voices merging in a powerful declaration of victory and unity. The dawn of a new era had begun, one forged in the fires of conflict and tempered by the bonds of friendship. As the sun rose higher, casting its warm light over the battlefield, Grey allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but he knew that together, they could overcome anything. "Let's get to work," he said, his voice filled with determination. "We've got a lot of rebuilding to do." And with that, the defenders of Eric Prime turned their attention to the future, their hearts filled with hope and their spirits unbreakable. Rebuilding and resilience. The aftermath of the battle was a mix of emotions for the defenders of Eric Prime. The victory was hard-won, but the cost was evident in the smoldering ruins and the faces of the survivors. Yet, amid the destruction, a new sense of purpose emerged. The humans and Sekhethi had forged a bond stronger than any alliance, born out of their shared struggle and triumph. Grey stood at the center of the makeshift command post, surrounded by maps and reports. The priority now was rebuilding, both the infrastructure and the lives shattered by the conflict. He knew this would be a monumental task, but the determination in the eyes of his comrades gave him confidence. Ironhead approached, his usual gruff demeanor softened by exhaustion. "We've got teams clearing the rubble and setting up temporary shelters. Food and medical supplies are being distributed." Grey nodded, appreciating the efficiency. "Good work, Ironhead. We need to focus on getting the civilians back on their feet. They've been through enough." Lazarus, who had been coordinating with the Sekhethi leaders, joined them. "The Sekhethi are willing to share their resources. They're setting up medical camps and offering engineering support to help rebuild the city." The cooperation between the two species was heartening. The Sekhethi, with their advanced technology and knowledge, were instrumental in the rebuilding efforts. Their expertise in energy systems and construction accelerated the process, turning what would have taken months into weeks. Prophet, ever the strategist, proposed a plan to integrate the rebuilding efforts. "We should establish a joint command center. Combining our strengths will ensure efficiency and foster deeper cooperation. We can learn a lot from each other." Grey agreed. "Let's make it happen. We need to show that this alliance isn't just for wartime. We can build a better future together." The Joint Command Center became a symbol of unity. Engineers, scientists, and workers from both species collaborated, sharing knowledge and resources. The Sekhethi introduced advanced agricultural techniques to boost food production, while human engineers helped optimize energy grids and infrastructure. Scarecrow, always observing and learning, noted the cultural exchange. This cooperation is more than just rebuilding. It's about understanding each other's strengths and embracing our differences. The progress was swift. Within days, makeshift shelters gave way to sturdy homes, and the first signs of normalcy returned to Eric Prime. Markets reopened, schools resumed, and the laughter of children echoed through the streets, a stark contrast to the silence of war. Grey took a moment to reflect, watching the bustling activity from a vantage point. The transformation was remarkable. The city was not just being rebuilt. It was evolving into something greater, a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of its people. One evening, as the twin moons of Eric Prime rose in the sky, Grey gathered with his comrades around a campfire. The mood was lighter, the camaraderie palpable. They shared stories and hopes for the future, their bond unbreakable. Ironhead, with a rare smile, raised a makeshift mug. To unity and resilience. We prove that together, we can overcome anything. Gray and his team regrouped with the main force, their mission a resounding success. The tide had turned, but the battle was not yet won. The Vokai, though scattered, were still a formidable threat. "We've bought ourselves time," Gray said, his voice resolute. "But we need to secure our victory. We can't let them regroup and counterattack." Prophet nodded. "We need to press the attack and take the fight to them. If we can eliminate their remaining forces, we can secure Arik Prime once and for all." Ironhead, his face smeared with dirt and sweat, grinned. "Let's finish this. For humanity, and for our Sethi allies." The defenders, emboldened by their success, prepared for the final push. As they advanced, the sky above Arik Prime began to clear, the first rays of dawn breaking through the darkness. The battle that had raged through the night was reaching its climax, and the fate of the planet hung in the balance. With a renewed sense of purpose, the humans and Sethi charged forward, their united strength a testament to their determination and resilience. The final battle for Arik Prime had begun, and they were ready to fight with everything they had. The final push. The dawn's first light cast an eerie glow over the battlefield, highlighting the devastation wrought by the night's fighting. The defenders, a mix of human soldiers and Sethi warriors, moved with grim determination, their eyes focused on the retreating Vokai forces. Gray led the charge, his presence a beacon of hope and resilience. "We've got them on the run," he shouted, rallying the troops. "Let's finish this." Ironhead and Lazarus were at the forefront, their weapons blazing as they cut through the remaining Vokai resistance. The humans and Sethi fought side by side, their bond forged in the crucible of battle. Each step forward brought them closer to victory, but the Vokai, though disorganized, still posed a significant threat. Scarecrow, constantly analyzing the battlefield, provided crucial intel. "Gray, they've regrouped near the eastern ridge. They're setting up a defensive perimeter." Gray nodded, his mind racing. "We can't let them dig in. We need to break their defenses before they can fortify." Prophet, always quick to act, assembled a strike team. "We'll hit them hard and fast." "Dice, Scarecrow, you're with me. Gray, we'll need cover fire from your position." Gray and the main force positioned themselves to provide support, their weapons trained on the Vokai's defensive line. As Prophet and his team advanced, the air was thick with tension. The final confrontation was at hand. Prophet led the charge, his rifle barking with precision. Dice and Scarecrow followed, their movements fluid and synchronized. The Vokai, caught off guard by the sudden assault, struggled to mount an effective defense. Explosions rocked the ridge as the strike team pressed their advantage, targeting key positions and disrupting the enemy's formation. Gray's voice echoed over the coms. "Push forward. Don't give them a chance to regroup." The main force surged ahead, their combined firepower overwhelming the Vokai defenders. Ironhead and Lazarus, leading the vanguard, fought with unmatched ferocity. Their determination inspired those around them, the human and Sethi soldiers fighting as one cohesive unit. As the battle raged, Gray spotted a familiar figure among the enemy ranks, a Vokai commander, directing the defense with ruthless efficiency. Recognizing the key to breaking the enemy's resolve, Gray made a split-second decision. "Scarecrow, I need you to take out that commander. It's now or never." Scarecrow, already in position, lined up his shot. The Vokai commander, oblivious to the imminent threat, continued barking orders. With a steady hand and a calm breath, Scarecrow squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out and the commander fell, his body crumpling to the ground. The Vokai forces, witnessing their leader's demise, wavered. Confusion and fear spread through their ranks, their coordinated defense falling apart. Sensing victory, Gray rallied his troops for the final push. Now's our chance. Break through their lines. The defenders advanced with renewed vigor, their combined might too much for the beleaguered Volcae. One by one, the enemy positions fell, the relentless assault leaving no room for retreat. The ridge, once a stronghold, was now a graveyard of Volcae hopes. As the last of the Volcae resistance crumbled, a cheer rose from the defenders. The battle for Arik Prime was won. Grey stood amidst the victorious troops, his heart swelling with pride and relief. The cost had been high, but their perseverance had paid off. Ironhead, his armor scorched and battered, clapped Grey on the shoulder. "We did it, Grey. We actually did it." The toast was met with cheers, the sentiment echoing in their hearts. The path ahead was still challenging, but they faced it with renewed vigor and confidence. As the night wore on, Grey found himself speaking with Prophet. "We've come a long way, but there's still much to do. This alliance, it's just the beginning." Prophet nodded thoughtfully. "True. But it's a strong foundation, and with leaders like you, we'll continue to build on it." Grey shook his head, a modest smile on his lips. "It's not just about one leader. It's about all of us working together, believing in a common cause." The days turned into weeks, and the rebuilding continued at an impressive pace. The Joint Command Center became a hub of innovation, where ideas flowed freely and solutions emerged organically. The city of Arik Prime, once a battleground, was now a beacon of hope and progress. Grey's leadership was instrumental, but he always credited the collective effort. The humans in Sci-Fi had not just rebuilt a city, they had forged a new future, one where cooperation and understanding prevailed. One day, as Grey walked through the newly reconstructed streets, he encountered a group of children, human and Sci-Fi, playing together. Their laughter was a beautiful sound, a reminder of what they had fought for. A young Cathy girl, curious and bold, approached him. "Are you the one who helped save our city?" Grey knelt to her level, smiling warmly. "We all did together, and it's our job to keep it safe and make it even better." The girl nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "I want to help too when I grow up." Grey's heart swelled with pride. "You already are. Every day. Just by being here and being brave." The rebuilding of Arik Prime was more than just a recovery from war. It was the beginning of a new era, one where the strength of unity and resilience would guide their way. The humans in Sakathi had shown that together, they could overcome any challenge and build a future brighter than ever imagined. And so, with each passing day, the bonds between them grew stronger, their resolve unwavering. The final push was not just the end of a battle, but the start of a journey toward a future of endless possibilities. A new dawn. As Arik Prime entered a new phase of its recovery, the sense of hope and optimism was palpable. The joint efforts of the humans and Sakathi had not only rebuilt their city, but had also laid the groundwork for a lasting alliance. Grey, now more confident than ever in their shared future, reflected on the transformation from a war-torn planet to a thriving symbol of unity. One morning, Grey and Prophet convened with the leaders of the Sci-Fi in the newly established Unity Hall, a grand structure that symbolized a collaboration between the two species. The hall was adorned with technology from both civilizations, blending human and Sci-Fi designs into a harmonious whole. Prophet addressed the gathering with his usual grace. "We have reached a milestone, but this is only the beginning. The success of our alliance is a testament to what we can achieve when we work together. Our goal now is to ensure that the bonds we formed extend beyond this world." The Saskathi leader, Threx, nodded in agreement. "Our cooperation has shown that even the greatest challenges can be met with innovation and mutual respect. We must now focus on expanding our efforts to other planets and systems." Grey stepped forward, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "The war brought us together, but it is the shared vision of a brighter future that will sustain us. We have proven our strength, not just in battle, but in our ability to build and innovate together." The assembly erupted in applause, the sound echoing through the grand hall. It was a moment of triumph, not just for Arik Prime, but for the entire galaxy. The sense of unity and purpose was more profound than ever. As part of the celebration, Gray and Frex announced a series of initiatives aimed at fostering continued cooperation and advancement. These included joint scientific research projects, cultural exchange programs, and the establishment of a joint defense fleet to safeguard their mutual interests. Ironhead, now heavily involved in coordinating these new initiatives, was instrumental in organizing a grand exhibition showcasing the technological and cultural achievements of both species. The event was held in the heart of the city with displays of advanced SCAFI technology alongside human innovations. The exhibition was a resounding success. Visitors marveled at the progress made and the collaborative spirit that had brought it to life. There were demonstrations of new energy sources, medical advancements, and even culinary delights that highlighted the blending of human and Safi cuisines. Scarecrow, always eager to learn, took the opportunity to delve into the intricacies of Sci-Fi technology. This new energy system is incredible. The way it harnesses solar power and converts it so efficiently, it's beyond anything we've seen. A Safi engineer, showing Scarecrow around, explained, "Our technology is always evolving, but sharing it with your people has accelerated its development. Collaboration is the key." Meanwhile, Gray and Prophet had a chance to reflect on their journey. They met in a quiet corner of the exhibition, away from the bustling crowds. Prophet smiled thoughtfully. "We've come so far. I still remember when we first met, the doubts and fears we had. Now, look at what we've achieved." Gray nodded, his gaze sweeping over the lively scene. "It's remarkable. We've turned adversity into opportunity and built something truly extraordinary." As the evening approached, the celebration culminated in a grand feast. The feast was a symbol of the unity achieved, featuring dishes from both cultures and highlighting the blending of their culinary traditions. Humans and Safi dined together, sharing stories and forging new friendships. During the feast, Gray found himself speaking with a group of young Sekathi and human children who had gathered around him with wide eyes. One young Eskathi girl asked, "What happens next? Will we always be together?" Gray smiled, his heart warmed by their curiosity. "Yes, we will. This alliance is just the beginning. Our future is filled with possibilities, and as long as we work together, we can achieve anything." As the festivities continued, the night sky over Arik Prime was ablaze with fireworks, a spectacular display that mirrored the vibrant and hopeful spirit of the city below. The lights danced across the heavens, a visual representation of the unity and promise that now defined their world. In the days that followed, the momentum of the celebrations carried forward. Gray and his allies continued to lead with a vision that extended beyond their immediate concerns. They focused on building a sustainable future, one where the lessons learned from their shared struggles would guide their way. The Joint Command Center became a hub of activity, with teams from both species working on new projects and initiatives. The city thrived as a center of innovation and cooperation, and the partnership between humans and Safi set a precedent for future alliances. As Gray looked out over the bustling city, he saw not just the physical structures but the intangible bonds that had been forged. The alliance was not just a political or military arrangement. It was a living testament to the power of collaboration and understanding. The story of Arik Prime was no longer just about a conflict between species. It was about the triumph of unity over adversity. It was a story of resilience, innovation, and the unwavering belief that, despite the challenges, a better future was always within reach. And so, as the sun set on a new era, Gray and his allies prepared to face the future with optimism and determination. The dawn of this new chapter was not the end but the beginning of an ongoing journey, a journey marked by the spirit of cooperation and the promise of endless possibilities.